windy! Just disconnected the water filter. So we managed to cover the whole sailboat. Hopefully it's gonna be strong enough for the winds.
You guys will never guess where we're heading right now. It's funny how one decision can lead you to live somewhere else. We are now on our 6th month living on our boat here in Port Colborne.
The shorelines of Lake Erie have so many stunning sand beaches. We explored quite a few last summer, but had never been to Silver Beach. So with the strong winds, we thought there would be some nice waves action.
Trying to tie down the solar panels a little better because it's really windy. And if you look over there, you can see the water is actually almost over the side of the dock, which used to be like 4 feet down. Since Lake Erie is a lake, there are no tides like on the ocean. But when the winds are strong enough over a period of time, the water will still move from one side of the lake to the other. And the southwest winds were pushing the water towards us. Let's take our boat out. Soon we can just drive our boat right onto the cradle. It's going to be awesome.
This is insane! I'm protected from the wind. We just took a walk through the marina and the water has been rising like crazy all over the place. Our dock, I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to carry on walking to the boat because the water level is so much higher than where the dock connects that it's kind of up the wrong way. It's just insane anyways. Even walking on the dock you've got trouble standing up.
Some really big gusts.
And crazy waves breaking over the break wall. Watching the waves crashing over the break wall was quite the sight. It meant that they were at least a good 15 foot. So that's our wind on Lake Erie. It's insane.
It's almost off the scale. It's in close to the 60 color.
The flooding was happening so quickly. We had just walked here and it was already over the docks. I was so happy to be at dock and on the more sheltered ones because the 50-60 knots of wind were blowing the boats around.
It was hard even just walking around on the docks or in the boat. Anything loose got pushed around. It felt just like we were on the water. We had to secure things as if we were sailing, like books on the shelf.
The storm continues! We can see a wall of rain just running across the lake heading towards us. It's really windy. The water level has gone down a bit. I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's just insane. We've been heading lines to the boat and tying everything, and it's moving! Ah! What you doing, Corey?
Oh, just checking on the solar panels. Everything's moving so much. Look at the stuff. Well, it's not moving that much, but it's moving. There's a lot of wind. We got like 50 knots of wind, or 100 kilometers, or 60 miles.
This was a very loud night, which made it tricky to sleep.
The next day was still stormy. We kept a good eye on all our lines and even added a few. The few people that were left would walk around the docks and keep an eye on all the boats. The waves lasted for quite a while, and the boats were pretty much stuck in the water because we couldn't be hauled out.
I was not looking forward to being on land again. I was going to miss the gentle rocking. But it was November 9th, and winter was approaching quickly. Our haul-out day was cold and wet. At least the wind only lasted for the short period of time that we had to move our boat.
So I'm pretty sure we picked the most miserable day possible to pull out our boat and do the mast, but it's the way it happened. Can't really do much about it. I gotta go to work tomorrow, boo work. So we had to really get it done tonight, or today. Kind of last minute, but we made it happen. The last time this mast was taken down was when the previous owner initially bought it, about 5 years ago. So we were curious and apprehensive to see how it would go. Loosening the shrouds and stays was fairly easy. And the 44-foot tall mast popped right off as the crane lifted it onto land. We realized our wind instrument wasn't even plugged in. No wonder it didn't work.
We had never taken down that mast, so we weren't too sure what it was going to be like, but everything came out real nice, and the mast is now in the hard, and so this actually allows the boat to have a bit less stress in the winter time, which is pretty awesome. We quickly wrap lines around the mast to secure the rigging and roller furler.
It's snowing. We got our mast over here. All strapped up and ready to go. And now we're going in our lift and being parked right here. How's it going?
Oh, it's snowing. We just took down our mast, so we're just a sailboat without. Actually, we're not a sailboat anymore. We're like a powerboat that's gonna become a treehouse very soon. Yeah, it's pretty miserable. It's just like snowing and cold, and at least we don't have the wind anymore.
Okay, you're tying it off like that. Our fancy dancy patented mast cover is right here, or mast hole cover.
So we are back on the hard. Kind of sad moment. I'd way rather be in the water, but it's getting really cold. Actually, it's been snowing, which is why we didn't get much footage of our haul out, because it was snowing and rainy and crazy, so I didn't really want to take the big camera out. So I got a little bit of footage from the action cam that was on top of the boat as we were hauled out, but it was pretty miserable. My fingers were quite frozen. You'd be wringing your gloves just trying to get the water out. With the mast on, it was now time to head into the slings, but the rain had changed to snow and walking around the deck was very slippery. The haul out was less stressful than being launched. I didn't have to worry to see if the boat would actually float, if water would come in, or if the engine was even gonna work. But we got it on the hard. Everything went really smooth, which is really exciting. So yeah, doing some winterizing projects in the boat, putting some foam on the rails. We've winterized everything inside, so water tank, sewer tanks, engine, the bilge, so everything should be safe. We're actually winterizing the water today, so we've got some antifreeze that is safe for plumbing and water things. Just disconnected the water filter and the tank is completely empty, and so now we're just gonna put the hose in the antifreeze and start the pump, and that should be coming out of our 2 sinks and shower heads, and then we'll be safe.
The stress comes when trying to winterize. It's a lot of work, and you have to make sure that anything with water gets drained out so it doesn't freeze, expand, and ruin something. So I'm just trying to remove all the water from the bilge, or as much of the water as I can, before we add some antifreeze and run it through the plumbing from the bilge, so then we have no more water left on our boat that could freeze. Plumbing antifreeze in our bilge.
Antifreeze that came out.
Oh, there we go.
So we have the antifreeze right down there into the hose that usually is connected to the raw water intake. And I'm gonna go start the engine and we're gonna run the antifreeze through it. So it should be good.
So we found out this is the thermostat that we couldn't find. So I got the bolts taken out and we're gonna remove it. So you might not be able to see this super well, but once we took off the top here, our thermostat is completely rusty and there was no removing it. I couldn't pull on it to get it out. So I used a pair of these channel locks and put it on either side and just squeezed it gently and kind of twisted it until it broke the rusty bits around it. Now I think I can remove it. So this is the thermostat out of our engine. It's really grimy, and as you'll see in a second, the hole to the engine looks really grimy as well. Kind of makes me nervous that we're rusting at the inside of our engine. Tell me as soon as it stops, eh?
Yeah. We really hoped our engine was well winterized. I guess we'll have to wait for spring to see. Bit of a change of scenery. It is freezing this morning. We had a little bit of snow yesterday and woke up this morning to -3 with winds upwards to 100 kilometers and wind chill of -15. So I really gotta get in my hole again to take the water out of the fuel water separator because we didn't do that yesterday. So going in. And tiny. So this is the thing here. There's a little screw at the bottom that I've got to take out and the water should drain out.
We put conditioner in the diesel tank and disconnected the vent hose instead of filling up the tank.
Taking out the Dodger. Okay, that's stuck there. We are taking up the Dodger so that we can put the tarp on top of the boat because we're gonna try to winterize a little bit, make a bit of a extension to our boat so that we can walk in and not have tons of snow in the cockpit. So taking this off and finding tons of spiders. They're not dead yet or frozen.
What you up to?
I'm disconnecting these solar panels because the tarp's gonna be over top of them, so they're kind of useless, and we've got the battery charger hooked up. So we managed to cover the whole sailboat. Hopefully it's gonna be strong enough for the winds.
What you doing?
Well, I know that that window is leaking, so we're gonna be gone for about 2 months, so I'm trying to prevent. If it does leak, there's gonna be those beautiful little rags that are gonna catch the water, hopefully. But it doesn't leak too much, and only if it's raining, which it's the winter, shouldn't rain too much. We'll see.
So we got a lot of leaks. Here's a few examples. So we got all our books here covered in garbage bags because we actually found a new leak behind there. We really need to rebed all our chain plates. We did this side. So you guys will never guess where we're heading right now. We have had a bit of a struggle over the season. As you probably could have told, our Genoa sail has seen better days. And a new sail is really expensive. It's, you know, like $3,000, $4,000, depending on how big the sail is and what you want exactly. For our boat, it's probably gonna sit around, I don't know, $3,000 or so new. So as you can imagine, being poor like we are, we don't necessarily have that much money just lying around. And well, I mean, we had planned to just save the money during this off season and work a bunch, and that was gonna be, you know, a sail was going to be one of our main investments before we take off, because we just don't trust the sail is falling apart. It's got some tears in it. You can almost see through it in some areas, and there's been quite a bit of mold damage. So we're actually right on our way to Cambridge, Ontario. It's about an hour and a half from where we are right now. And we found some really good sails. We posted an ad on Kijiji just saying, hey, we're looking for sails within these dimensions. There was quite a few people that actually messaged with different sails that weren't gonna fit our boat at all. Because the idea behind getting a used sail is, yeah, okay, it's obviously a lot cheaper, but we also need it to fit our size of our boat. You can't just get a sail that's completely off of your dimensions and kind of just make it work, because it's just not gonna work right. it's not going to fill up properly because it's not being used for the right thing. So yeah, wish us luck. We're on our way to pick up some slightly used new sails. So here we are in Cambridge, walking down the streets, exploring around a little bit. One nice thing about following Kijiji ads to try to find different parts for our boat is we get to explore new locations all the time. And so we decided to come an hour early and just kind of walk around and check out this cool new town or city.
The architecture was beautiful, and there were some sweets.
Look at these deliciousness. Fresh donuts. Yum. So if you're like me, you love donuts. There's not too many times where you get to eat freshly made donuts like these. Much better, I'm assuming, than something like Tim Hortons or something like that. So let's give it a try. Oh, it's so soft. Look at this squishiness. It's mine.
Hey, give me some. I'm super excited. We just came back we just left the canoe club in Cambridge, and we met this lovely gentleman named Art, which was full of knowledge and showed us 2 awesome sails for our sailboat. They are about 15 years old, so a little older sails, but barely been used and well stored. And we offered him $500 for the 2 of them, so we got 2 sails. Well, one sail would be 1/10 of the price of one brand new sail. So hopefully they'll last us a while. It's gonna be pretty exciting to test them out next year. What you doing?
Oh, just making sure the battery charger is all good to go and our batteries are staying charged up. It's the only thing we're leaving on before we leave. And we're all packed up and ready to go. It's a beautiful day. It's like 14 degrees outside, or 12 degrees. It's so nice comparing to what it has been lately, which is like down -3 or, somewhere in the negatives a lot of the time. So it's beautiful.
It's gonna be so weird leaving the boat. Bye. Gonna miss you.
Bye, boat.
Next time, we spend the holidays in Quebec with families. What happens when the boat is under hard and you can't go sailing? You work on your boat.